Let's move on now to the Kansas City Chiefs 2023 season prediction video, where we will break down the entire schedule and give our overall floor and ceiling of the record and also their playoff probability for the Kansas City Chiefs, which foreshadowing is 100%. They're definitely going to make the playoffs. But before we get into that, if you have not already, smash that subscribe button. Also ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Brian and I, starting next week, we will be predicting and making videos on every single NFL game, part of our fun season-long competition to see who predicts the most winners. Also, too, starting this Sunday night, September 3rd at 8:15 p.m., Ryan and I will go live every single Sunday from here on out, reviewing all the action that happened during the games that week and also start to preview the upcoming week. So if you want to join us live, and also if you want to see all of our prediction videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get notified. Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
So if you've been following this series, Ryan and I, we predicted the winner of every single NFL game. And in some games, even you will see our ties. Those are kind of just crucial games that are too close to call. Also, in this situation, a tie against the New York Jets. We don't really know how great Aaron Rodgers is going to be, and the Jets offense, is it going to be like the Denver Broncos last year, or are they going to be Super Bowl contenders? So games like that are going to be very close. We were kind of leaning more towards the Super Bowl contender side and kind of threw that up as a toss-up. And also what that allowed us is kind of get a good feel on the overall floor and ceiling for the team. And so as of right now, we have them as like a 12-win team. Maybe honestly, it's interesting too. We can go through their schedule. I feel like 11 wins is too low, but at 12, I think is kind of just right, but with the potential to get to 15. And still, I'm not going to make the same mistake as last year where I'm talking like they lost Tyreek Hill. They don't have any receivers. And this team, like they're going to lose the division for sure. They're not going to make the Super Bowl. If you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid put together, it's just a great combination for success. And their receiving core is a little bit volatile, maybe a little bit inexperienced, and it doesn't concern me for a bit. I can see it as a potential weakness considering who they're playing against, but still, come November, December, I'm not going to be too concerned about their overall performance.
I am a little bit concerned. I just think no matter how much Patrick Mahomes does, Travis Kelce's turning 34. This receiving group is worse than the receiving group that they had last year on paper anyway. And so I think there is a little bit of cause for concern. To me, the biggest cause for concern is the fact that they have two new offensive tackles. And especially as we get into some of these games here, it's going to be really interesting to see how they start out and how they carry on throughout the year. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and dive right into the season, to their record here. So as you can see, 6-2 versus winning teams, 4-2, potential to be 7-2 or about 500 against other playoff teams. And they have a really tough matchup in week one, in our opinion. The Detroit Lions are a very good team. We do have them edging them out. It is going to be banner night. They're going to be hanging that banner for Super Bowl 56, 55.
I don't remember. Just the Super Bowl.
For last year's Super Bowl. And then they follow that up with a tough game against the Jags. The Jags gave them all they could handle in the playoff game last year. And then they'll beat the Bears. But then they have a really tough game against the Jets. You kind of mentioned we don't know what to expect from Aaron Rodgers. But these first two games in week 2 and 4 could have serious playoff implications if they end up losing those, as that could end up being a tiebreaker later on come playoff time and push them down. And we could potentially not have an AFC championship game in Kansas City for the first time in 4 years, I believe, 4 or 5 years. So that's going to be interesting to see. And then they do have a couple games in a row. They should beat the Vikings and Broncos. Chargers will give them all they can handle. Those games are always fun. And then they'll beat the Broncos, and then they go overseas to Germany to face the Miami Dolphins. And all in all, this is a really tough first stretch of the season. I think you look, Lions are Super Bowl contender. Jags are one of the top teams in the AFC. Jets could be one of the top teams in the AFC. And then they play the Chargers and the Dolphins, who are just super explosive offenses with defenses that can cause a lot of issues on your offensive side. So they definitely need to show up and play well early in the season.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show too just the overall depth of the AFC, but also then too when you throw the Lions in there week 1, it is possible. I can see a route where we are wrong on a couple of these games and they lose to the Lions, and then go to Jacksonville with a really good team with Calvin Ridley as well, and so then the New York is the New York team that we think that they could be. Like it's a possibility they start 1-3 and then they have to really claw their way back to get to the bye week. So with some tough games against the Chargers and Miami as well, and especially too that week 9 against Miami, anything can happen. Yeah. And so I definitely will still give the edge to Mahomes over Tua, but it's still these overseas games, anything can happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to push back on that a little bit because a lot of times these overseas games they come down to whoever has more playmakers, and I think on paper the Dolphins might actually have a better skill position setup. So it's going to be interesting to watch kind of how all that plays out.
Yeah, but to push back on that, Mahomes is the ultimate player.
He is.
So that's where, yes, they have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Fair. And then if you look at the receiving room on the other side, it's on paper it's not as much. But I think Mahomes trumps all that. I also think too. I think it's Chris Jones, right? Or
yes, Chris Jones.
I think he's going to get after Tua just with the weakness of his offensive line. So that'll be a fun game to watch. But then they do come into a bye, which is a timely bye, we'll say.
Yeah.
Then Super Bowl rematch, which I do think the Chiefs can win that one. That one's in Arrowhead. That's going to be an electric one. Definitely deserving of the Monday night. And then, in my opinion, just matchup-wise, actually generally favorable for the follow-up for the following weeks. Raiders, it should be a win. Packers, we have that as a tie. I think in Lambeau, anything can happen. But I think the Chiefs,
they also match up really well. They're going to get a lot of big plays, I think, with the receiving core that they have. So I think they should match up pretty well. Buffalo, they should beat. Buffalo's kind of on the decline. And then New England and the Raiders, they should beat as well.
I think they just match up well against them.
Yeah. And then Cincinnati going to Arrowhead in Week 17, that's going to be a really big game. They realistically could be playing for the 1 seed. And then next week, they could be playing for the division in Week 18 against the Chargers. So they definitely don't end on an easy note. And I'm very interested to see those games. We do have them losing them both. Just think maybe Week 18, there's a chance that they rest, especially if I think right now we have them at 2nd in conference rank. And if there's no chance for them to get the 1 seed, then they'll probably take it easy that week as well. So
yeah.
But all in all, I think the Chiefs. There's definitely areas you can point out and be like, I'm concerned about this. I think that is definitely a weak spot. Mainly pointing at edge rushers. They definitely had turnover to edge rushers. Both tackles got turned over, and then just the receiving room as a whole. Like I think they're going in. Kadarius Toney is their number 1 receiver. Rashee Rice was their 2nd-round pick. And then there's obviously Travis Kelce is the number 1 pass catcher. But again, he's going to be 34, I think, in October.
Yeah.
So
Sky Moore is there. Justin Wilson.
Justin Ross.
No. There's another guy, Justin Wilson or Justin Watson.
Yeah, Justin Watson is there.
Yeah, the white guy.
Yeah.
But even as I said, they really had all that. I mean, like I'm not saying Rashee Rice is as good as Juju Smith-Schuster, but if we're just being honest, they didn't really lose too much. That's just kind of his replacement. You know, they did lose Mecole Hardman, but I think Kadarius Toney kind of takes over that role, sort of that speedster gadget guy.
I also do want to point out, Kadarius Toney has only played like 7 NFL games. He's been hurt the rest of his 2 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and I absolutely get that. I'd be curious to kind of see some of that could be personality of the system that you're in, and I would just have a feeling there's a level of respect and maybe expectation if you're going to play in an Andy Reid system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because when he traded him to Kansas City, he did show out. Like, and he was that gadget guy. You know, stat wise wasn't anything off the chart, but you could see how they were trying to utilize him and utilize his strengths to be effective in that offense. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that this year.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the Chiefs. I'm really curious to see how they're going to get back to being in the Super Bowl again. Because all in all, if you're putting your money on one team, that's probably what you're putting your money on. So, but let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on how you think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be in 2023. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.